Every champion was once someone who refused to listen to their own excuses. You be that champion.
The 1973 Kesavananda Bharati case stands as the most significant constitutional judgment in Indian history. The Supreme Court, through this landmark verdict, created the basic structure doctrine that continues to shape our democracy. This case answered whether Parliament could change any part of the Constitution without limits. The 7-6 majority judgment established that while Parliament can amend the Constitution, it cannot destroy its essential features. For UPSC aspirants, this case represents a crucial chapter in Indian constitutional development. Let's explore what happened, what the judges actually said, and why it matters even today. The case began when Kesavananda Bharati, head of an ancient Hindu monastery known as Ayurnir Mutt in Kerala with ties to Adi Shankaracharya, challenged land reform laws affecting the monastery's property. His legal team, led by Nani Palkiwala, expanded the challenge to question Parliament's power to amend the constitution itself. The context is important. The government had passed several amendments to override previous Supreme Court decisions. The 24th Amendment allowed Parliament to amend any part of the constitution. The 25th Amendment restricted property rights and tried to place certain laws beyond judicial review. The central question became whether there were any limits to Parliament's power to change the constitution. The largest ever bench of 13 judges was formed to settle this fundamental question. On the 24th of April 1973, after 68 days of arguments, the Supreme Court delivered its landmark verdict in the Kesavananda Bharati case. The petitioner, Kesavananda Bharati, did not succeed in preventing the acquisition of his land. But the court moved beyond that individual grievance, compelled by the constitutional questions and sharp arguments raised by his legal team. What followed was a defining moment in the Indian constitutional law, the birth of Basic Structure of Constitution doctrine. Chief Justice Sikri, writing the majority opinion, stated clearly,
"The power to amend does not include the power to abrogate the Constitution, nor does it include the power to alter its basic structure."
Justice Khanna, who cast the decisive vote, wrote,
"The word amendment postulates that the existing constitution must survive without loss of its identity, which means that the basic structure or framework of the constitution must survive."
The court identified several features as part of the basic structure, including constitutional supremacy, democratic republican government, secular character of the republic, separation of powers of the three branches of government, federal character, judicial review. While the court upheld most of the contested amendments, it struck down a portion of the 25th Amendment that attempted to eliminate judicial review. The government's response to the judgment was swift and concerning. Chief Justice Sikri retired the day after the verdict. Then the government superseded 3 senior judges who had ruled with the majority and appointed Justice A.N. Ray as the new Chief Justice of India. This raised serious concerns about judicial independence. The government clearly sought to assert control over the judiciary after this setback to parliamentary supremacy. Just 2 years later, during the emergency of 1975, the Basic Structure doctrine faced its first major test. In the Indira Gandhi election case, the Supreme Court struck down an amendment that tried to make the Prime Minister's election immune from judicial review. This reaffirmed that the basic structure cannot be altered. The most significant and recent test of the Basic Structure doctrine came in 2015 with the NJAC case. The Parliament had passed the 99th Amendment to replace the collegium system of judicial appointments with a National Judicial Appointments Commission known as NJAC. The Supreme Court, in a 4-1 verdict, struck down this amendment. Chief Justice Kehar, writing for the majority, ruled,
"The 99th Constitutional Amendment damages the basic structure of the Constitution by altering the primacy of the judiciary in judicial appointments."
The court held that judicial independence is part of the basic structure of the Constitution and cannot be compromised. This ruling demonstrated relevance of the basic structure doctrine established in the Kesavananda Bharati case. The government had sought greater say in judicial appointments through a commission where judges would not have primacy, but the court maintained that this violated the separation of powers. The NJAC case showed how the doctrine serves as a check on attempt of the executive to take control of the judiciary. The basic structure doctrine serves as a crucial safeguard against constitutional abuse. It ensures that no government, regardless of its majority, can fundamentally alter India's constitutional identity. Consider what might happen without this doctrine. A government with a two-thirds majority in parliament could potentially do some of these kind of power abuses. First, remove federalism and create a unitary state. Second, eliminate judicial review entirely. Third, abolish fundamental rights. Fourth, end the secular character of the state. Fifth, eliminate free and fair elections. The doctrine prevents such fundamental changes while still allowing the constitution to evolve. It maintains a balance between flexibility and stability. From the UPSC exam point of view, understand the Kesavananda Bharati case and basic structure doctrine on these 4 parameters. First, evaluate the doctrine's impact on parliamentary sovereignty. Second, analyze specific applications like the NJAC case. Third, explain the evolution of the doctrine. Fourth, discuss its role in maintaining constitutional balance. Let us now have a look at past UPSC papers where Kesavananda Bharati case and basic structure of doctrine have been asked. In UPSC CSE Mains 2020, a question asked to examine the basic structure doctrine as it evolved in the Kesavananda Bharati case and its application in subsequent cases. In UPSC CSE Prelims 2019, questions on fundamental rights and their relation to the basic structure doctrine appeared. In UPSC CSE Mains 2017, question asked about the significance of the Kesavananda Bharati judgment in constitutional development. In UPSC CSE Mains 2015, candidates were asked to analyze the evolution of judicial review in India with special reference to the basic structure doctrine. These topics are considered fundamental to understanding Indian constitutional law and continue to be relevant for UPSC preparation, especially for the GS Paper 2's Constitution and Polity section. Now let us also have a look at the cases where the basic structure doctrine had a critical role. It began in 1973 with Kesavananda Bharati. This case gave birth to the basic structure of constitution and set the crucial rule that Parliament can amend the constitution, but it cannot change its core, or basic structure. That idea became the foundation for what came next. Just before the emergency, the Indira Gandhi election case protected judicial review, making sure courts could still check the government's power. Then in 1980, Minerva Mills balanced fundamental rights and directive principles, reinforcing that the Constitution's basic features must be preserved. And in 2015, the striking down of the NJAC ensured the independence of the judiciary, a vital part of that basic structure. Now, let's recap and summarize what we have learned about the Kesavananda Bharati case. We began with the background of this landmark case. Remember how Swami Kesavananda Bharati challenged the Kerala government's land reforms in 1970? He argued these reforms violated his religious property rights under Article 26 of our Constitution. Then we explored the constitutional conflict at the heart of this case. The government had passed the 24th and 25th Amendments, claiming Parliament could alter fundamental rights as it wished. This created that critical tension between parliamentary power and constitutional protections we discussed. The verdict itself was incredibly close, a 7-6 judgment where the Supreme Court established that while Parliament can certainly amend the Constitution, but it cannot alter its basic structure, thus judicial safeguard of basic structure was born. And finally, we have seen how this doctrine has become a permanent restraint on absolute parliamentary power, being invoked in crucial moments like before the emergency period against Indira Gandhi's government in 1975, and more recently in the NJAC case of 2015. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe if you found value.